The first trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1 is just released. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Because you're here.
Welcome to the KillJoy Jake YouTube channel. My name is Madeline, and today we're talking about The Strangers Chapter 1 trailer. Now, for those who don't know real quick, this is supposed to be the first part of a brand new trilogy, all releasing this year. From September to November in 2022, Rennie Harlin, the director of all three of these movies, the cast and the crew, shot 3 Strangers movies that are all supposed to be a brand new trilogy telling the story of who these strangers are. So they may not be strangers after we get all 3 of these movies this year. The Strangers Chapter 1 releases on May 17th this year, and the other 2 don't have release dates yet. All we know is that they are coming out later sometime this year. I'm guessing that when this movie releases, it's gonna be in theaters for like, let's say 4 weeks or whatever. Then they drop the trailer for Chapter 2. That comes out like 2 months later. Then the trailer for Chapter 3 comes out 2 months later, etc. With that out of the way, let's finally talk about this brand new trailer.
Today is the 3rd day of our 3-day road trip across the country.
Or our 5-year anniversary.
So a couple of things right there. This couple is in love. They've been together for 5 years, as Madeline Pesh just stated. Coming to a close on their 3-day road trip, their car is going to break down and they're gonna have to stay at an Airbnb. Now, interestingly enough, this movie and all of its sequels will be canon to the other 2 Strangers films, both the 2008 Brian Bertino film, The Strangers, and Pray at Night. So my guess is this movie either has to be a prequel or taking place sometime in between the Brian Bertino film and the Johannes Roberts movie. Why do I say that? Well, most of the strangers died in Pray at Night, so that like has to be the end of the story. Unless these movies weren't canon, but they are. Also, this trailer gets some major bonus points for putting in one of my favorite Cage the Elephant songs. Trouble is a banger off of 2015's Tell Me I'm Pretty. Check out that album if you have not listened to it. Especially if the only Cage the Elephant song you know is Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. Banger, don't get me wrong, but that album, also very solid.
Tough crowd, right?
The city folk have come to our town. Okay, no, but seriously, I am getting a hint of social commentary here. Little city versus country action. Very similar to the Wrong Turn remake from 2021. Could this be the seeds that will explain who the strangers are? Maybe. Also, is that Richard Brake? Like, seriously, is that Richard Brake? He's not confirmed to be in the cast. Who the hell is that? While we have absolutely no confirmation of that at this time, I cannot stop thinking about Richard Brake playing the man in The Mask. Richard Brake is phenomenal in a bunch of horror movies, on top of things like Game of Thrones as well. He gives an amazing monologue at the beginning of 31, which is such a slept-on movie too. He's an excellent horror villain though, is my point. One of my biggest concerns with this upcoming remake slasher film that is not a remake, according to director Rennie Harlin, is that this movie is going to be a remake. I am all about remaking movies as long as you can throw your own spin on it, so hopefully that's the case here. I'm seeing a lot of recreation of old shots from the past movies, and that to me is just kind of lame. I get paying homage, you gotta do that shit, but come up with your own scares, movie. Give me a reason to go to the theaters to see this one, opposed to just watching the 2008 film that is on my shelf already. So far, I think this movie is gonna give us that reason, but fingers crossed. There are some really dumb character moments in this trailer, and that is not a bad thing. Can we just like strike that down like right now? I know y'all are probably thinking, oh geez, Jake is complaining again. Gee willikers. But I'm not. Dumb characters make horror movies way more interesting. I mean, look, our characters here couldn't smell a dead rotting corpse hanging from the ceiling. That makes me think that, you know, they're just not the brightest folks. Madeline Pesh's character is showering and one of the strangers is standing like 5 feet away from her. My overall impression of these characters is that they are a little dumb, but that's okay. They might not be the brightest bulbs in the box, but honestly, the whole trope of having like a final girl who's like super intelligent or just main characters who know everything about horror movies, we've seen that done before many times, especially after Scream came out in '96, baby. I'm down for horror movies with dumb characters. Fight me. They show off a lot of the jump scares in this trailer, which I'm personally not a big fan of. I think they hit so much harder when you haven't seen them before and then they just happen in the movie and it's like, whoa, oh my God. But oh my God, that axe coming through the door and almost hitting Madeline Pesh in the face, I really enjoyed that. But at least they're not doing the Shining shot where you follow the axe hitting the door, which every horror movie has done in the last like 40 years. I'll take this instead. There's a lot going on in this trailer that makes me think that this is going to be a period piece. I mean, it is some sort of prequel in some sense. I'm really conflicted though, because we We really don't see any like modern technology. There's like old school logos for things. That Budweiser logo is like hella old. But also they're staying at an Airbnb, and this is like a relatively new thing. I looked it up though, and Airbnb has been a thing since 2008, so technically this movie could take place 2008 onwards. I wouldn't be such a stickler about this if this was supposed to be like a modern reimagining, but it is canon with the other two movies. That's why I'm confused.
Because you're here.
I'm gonna stop sounding like a sourpuss because overall I do have mostly good things to say about this. This does feel like its own original take, and that's my biggest thing about this movie. I don't care if it sucks. I just want it to be its own goddamn thing. That is more important to me than anything. The movies that I bitch and moan about the most are movies that are just recreations of something I've already seen. I'm just not a big fan of that. I'm all about pastiche, where it's like you can take other elements of different things, slap them together into something new, but it is still something new at the end of the day. Something I was very worried about with The Strangers Chapter 1 is that it would just be a remake of the original essentially, but in the modern day. That's no fun to me. While yes, there are recreations of shots, like almost direct lines taken from that original, just one word changed, slapped in this trailer, it does feel like its own thing. The relationship between our couple is vastly different than what we got in the 2008 film, where our couple was going through some shit. This is a couple who really loves each other and has been dating for 5 years. So if this movie has a tragic outcome, which I'm guessing it is going to, it's going to have a different feel to it, a different taste. I know a lot of y'all are gonna hate me saying this, but I actually really enjoy the injection of a little social commentary in there too. Once again, something that will flavor this movie differently. You might not like it, I respect it. Look, that's all good, man, but I like when a movie has something to say. That makes it a little more interesting to me. What makes a horror movie scary? Injecting real life horror into it, and social commentary is a great vessel for that, ladies and gentlemen. You might not agree with it all the time, but that's like sometimes not even the point of why we put social commentary in movies. Sometimes it's literally to aid the scares. I know I said this earlier, but it is giving me a Wrong Turn 2021 vibe, which once again, if you have not seen that, oh my god, check it out. It is so slept on. One of my favorite horror movies from the 2020s. This is giving me a very similar vibe with the whole city versus country thing, which is something that Wrong Turn remake hits on pretty well in my opinion. This trailer's given me a little taste of that, with all the townsfolk staring at our couple like, what the heck are you doing in our town? And they're all like, we're city folk, man. We just count money all day and do this. See, I made fun of both sides, so you can't get mad at me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what that Wrong Turn remake does so well. Personally, I'm really digging this Strangers Chapter 1 trailer, but I do feel like the movies I'm going to like the most from this trilogy are parts 2 and part 3, where we start to get into some weirder shit. To paraphrase director Renny Harlin, dudes essentially said that this is going to feel very similar to the Brian Bertino film. The story even comes from that same director. So I'm imagining while yes, this will be its own take, it's going to be very similar to the original home invasion thriller we got back in the thousands. The other two movies though are where it's going to start to get a little weirder, and that's what I'm probably the most excited for, honestly. Stay tuned for coverage on chapters 2 and 3. What did you guys think about the trailer for The Strangers Chapter 1? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this brand new The Strangers update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror movie content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon by clicking that link in the description below, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.